All right, so in chapter 1.4, we created an app that allows the user to choose a data set, right? So, hold on, it looked like this. The UI shows this drop-down menu, right? So that the user can choose a data set, right? Um, but it didn't have any outputs. Well, that was because it didn't have the server function. So here in chapter 1.5, we're adding behavior to the app so that it displays the output here. So if you look at the UI here, um, uh, just below the drop-down menu, we have a summary of a data set being displayed. And at the bottom, we have the table of the data itself, right? So what do we need to produce this output, right, in the UI? So if you look at the server function here, inside the server function, you see two sections of code. So the first section here, it says output $ summary. So this is how we ID, how we put a name on the output that's produced by this render function here. So summary is the ID that we're giving it to this output that render function produces. So render print pairs with the text output. All right, so if you look inside the render function here, we have the get function. If you're not familiar with the get function, that's not important, right? So what I want you to pay attention to is the basic idea at this point, right? So what is going on here is input data set. So data set here is the input ID. So if you look earlier in chapter 1.4, the select input, right? This is a function that collects information from the user, right? So whatever the user, whatever the data set chosen by the user here in the UI um, is named as data set, right? That's the input ID, right? And that is received here in the back end of the app, right? So the server function receives the data chosen by the user, and then it saves under data set, and then through the summary function, generates the summary of the chosen data set, right? And then saves it under summary. That is what's going on. And the second section here, um, oh, by the way, so this summary, right, is being displayed here in the UI because that summary here is connected to the verbatim text output function and summary, right? So that is a function that displays the output, right? Summary. And the second section here, again, the same thing. The render function, in this case, render table. So render table pairs with table output, right? So whatever that's produced by this render function is saved under this ID, output ID table. Again, when we specify output, we have output $ and the ID, right? So again, the same as the above. Inside the render function, we have input $ input ID, which is data set, right? And then save that under data set. This is an arbitrary name, right? And then just prints the data itself, right? So that is, again, being saved here under table, and that is delivered to here on the table output, and then the output ID table, and that function displays that output here in the UI. So that's what's going on, all right? So in our R Studio, this is previous code, right? So we just need to add this server function. So let's get the code from our textbook. All right, so mastering Shiny, and then chapter 1.5. So here's the code. So again, the code itself is not as important. I just want you to see how how easy it is to generate or make the app. All right, so copy the code, and then we place that here, right? Oh, by the way, guys, I wanna save this as 1.5, and then can save this, and then we can run app, and then save selected. There you go. So we have this app, right? And the user chooses dataset, and it updates the output, right? All right. So that is chapter 1.5. exciting. I'll see you in the next video.